Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it, especially if you love the movies?
Observations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, Robert Meyer Burnett. And if you're on the half shell, if you're riding the half pipe, or you're still, well, half in the bag, this show is your blast of 30 minutes of entertainment news, the Hollywood half and half. And we are very happy to have you here today. What is today? Today is November 30th, Tuesday, the last day of November. My God, that sprint we all make to the end of the year, it's coming. Well, it's already here. We already know that, but yeah, it's going to be rough, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be rough. Let's get right into it, shall we? Let's see, the first story up today. Ooh, the Gucci family not happy with Ridley Scott or Adam Driver or Lady Gaga or Jared Leto or Al or Jeremy Irons. They've issued a fuming statement over their portrayal in Ridley Scott's House of Gucci. Nick Vivarelli from Variety brings this one to us. The heirs of Aldo Gucci, who was chairman of the Gucci fashion house from 1953 to 1986, have issued a statement saying they're a bit disconcerted about what they claim is their inaccurate portrayal in Ridley Scott's House of Gucci film. The production of the film did not bother to consult the heirs before describing Aldo Gucci, president of the company for 30 years, played by Al Pacino in the film, and the members of the Gucci family as thugs, ignorant and insensitive to the world around them, the statement said. It added that the pics attributes a tone and an attitude the protagonists of the well-known events that never belonged to them. This is extremely painful from a human point of view and an insult to the legacy on which the brand is built today. This statement, first published by Italian news agency ANSA, of which Variety has a copy, goes on to blast how Milanese socialite Patrizia Reggiani, played by Lady Gaga in the film, who's convicted in 1998 of facilitating the murder of Maurizio Gucci, played by Adam Driver, by the way, spoiler alert, is portrayed not just in the film, but also in statements from cast members as a victim trying to survive in a male chauvinist corporate culture. This couldn't be further from the truth. Gucci is a family that lives honoring the work of its ancestors, whose memory does not deserve to be disturbed, to stage a spectacle that is untrue and which does not do justice to its protagonists. Man, they're pissed. But, I can understand that. Although I do say this, while an imperfect movie, I do think House of Gucci was, in fact, wildly entertaining. But that's just me. Our next story, Steven Spielberg's long-awaited West Side Story. I've got to say, ever since I saw Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in 1984, that opening number, Anything Goes, E1, 2, come on. I watched that and I'm like, Spielberg's got to do a musical. I mean, he's done films that have musical numbers in them. 1941 did, of course, dance numbers. Suge Avery busting out tunes in Color Purple. But I've always wanted to see Spielberg tackle a musical. And West Side Story, believe it or not, kids, the original, I think it won 10 Academy Awards. One of my favorite movies of all time. Co-directed by Jerome Robbins and, of course, Robert Wise, who later went on to direct my beloved Star Trek The Motion Picture. Maybe this wouldn't have been the musical I would have chosen for Spielberg, but everyone says it is great. It's screened for the first time, and it is getting great notices. West Side Story first reactions praise the classic musical's reimagining as spectacular, top-tier Spielberg. This comes to us from J. Kim Murphy in Variety. The first reactions to 20th Century Studios' West Side Story are beginning to pour in following the film's premiere in New York City on Monday evening. Those who attended the screening took to social media, voicing praise for director Spielberg's reimagining of the classic musical. In this new version, Rachel Zegler and Ansel Elgort play Maria and Tony, whose ill-fated romance flags the fires of bitter rivalry between local street gangs, the Sharks and the Jets. Variety's own executive editor of the film and media, Brent Lang, called the film bold and stirring. He also voiced some criticism for Elgort's lead performance before highlighting the overall production as a likely Oscar contender. Says Brent, Steven Spielberg's West Side Story is bold and stirring. The best parts are Tony Kushner's book and the dramatic reimagining of classic numbers such as America and Somewhere. Ansel was a bit flat, but the rest of the cast is great and feels like Oscar contenders. All I can say is I'm very excited for this movie. I can't wait to see it. I don't know how it's going to play. It's a little old-fashioned. The music is great, because remember, when you're a jet all the way to your first cigarette, to your last dying day. If you guys don't know the words to that song, get on it, because you're going to want to know them once you've seen this movie. Because West Side Story, come on now. I mean, when you see it, if you're part of that cult, you'll understand. I'm part of that cult. Is it a cult? I don't know. It's still one of the greatest musicals ever made. Certainly put on film. And let's face it, you're going to want to see it. Top tier Spielberg. Come on now. You know who else is top tier? Adele. I know people are like, why do I want to talk about Adele? I mentioned Adele last week. People are like, Adele? Come on. I'm rolling in the deep now and forever. And let me tell you, Adele announces a Las Vegas residency beginning in January. That's right. By the way, Adele is looking mighty fly. You know, that's all I'm saying. Jem Oswald sends this in from Variety. Adele has announced an exclusive residency in the Coliseum of Las Vegas' Caesars Palace Hotel beginning Friday, January 21st, 2021. By the way, that Coliseum Theater is dope. It's great theater, great venue to see music. Titled Weekends with Adele, the singer will perform 2 shows each weekend through Saturday. You know what? It's amazing. I seem to be going a little fast this morning, and I haven't even had really... This is like day-old coffee. I forgot to make some this morning, so I heated up what was in the pot. That's some... I don't know what that is. It's not great. Sometimes it's happened when you work in post-production. Not usually. Anyway, she's going to perform 2 shows each weekend through Saturday, April 26, 2022, for a total of 12 weeks. The long-rumored announcement comes on the heels of the singer's 4th studio album, 30, on Columbia Records, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 this week, with by far the year's biggest first-week numbers, around 839,000 units. It has debuted at number 1 on album charts in 30 countries and is already one of the biggest selling albums of 2021. It became the top-selling album of 2021 in just 3 days, topping Taylor Swift's Evermore, which had sold 462,000 copies over 11 months. You know what? The world is not as Swiftish as it used to be. And I love Taylor Swift, but clearly Adele, come on, not as Swiftish lately. Although I do love Taylor Swift. Who doesn't, right? This next story, man, my mom's going to be bummed about this one. Tiger Woods. My mom, golf was religion in my family. So this is going to make my mom sad. Tiger Woods says his full-time pro golf days are over after car crash. I accept it, he says. The 45-year-old suffered severe leg injuries on February 23rd when he was involved in a serious single-car rollover accident in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. Tiger Woods has made peace with the fact that his days as a full-time pro golfer are done, following a horrific car crash earlier this year. In his first interview since the incident that he granted to Golf Digest, the iconic athlete addressed his future in the sport that he helped reshape with his prowess. I think something that is realistic is playing the tour one day, never full-time ever again, but pick and choose, just like Mr. Ben Hogan did. Woods told interviewer Heine Koyak via Zoom from his South Florida home, "It's an unfortunate reality, but it's my reality, and I understand it, and I accept it." The 45-year-old Woods suffered severe leg injuries on February 23rd when he was involved in a serious single-car rollover accident. "I have so far to go. I'm not even at the halfway point," he said. "I have so much more muscle development and nerve development that I have to do to my leg. At the same time, I've had 5 back operations, so I'm having to deal with that. So as the leg gets stronger, sometimes my back may act up. It's a tough road. Absolutely, it's a tough road. And I do feel bad that Tiger Woods was in that accident. Obviously, that is not something that anybody, would really want to have to live through. It is a bummer. This next story, a little near and dear to me. It's been rumored for a long time. This is the CBS Television Center. Things like Bill Maher, Price is Right. I mean, so many things have shot there. This is such a storied building in Los Angeles. We spent 3 years, Roger Lay Jr. and I, and the team from CBS Home Entertainment worked on the Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Enterprise Blu-rays in this building. We did the whole cast reunion video for the cast of Enterprise. It was fun to shoot and edit. You can see those on the full series Blu-ray sets on both Enterprise and Star Trek The Next Generation. We shot the majority of the interviews here in CBS Television Center. This is one of the most iconic buildings for entertainment in Los Angeles, and it has been rumored to be sold for a long time. And Jill Goldsmith in Deadline comes to us with this. Viacom CBS continues to shed non-core assets, including Tuesday a definitive, this is today, agreement to divest its iconic CBS Studio Center and associated businesses to the partnership of Hackman Capital Partners and Square Mile Capital Management for $1.85 billion. The deal, which was anticipated, was the result of a widely marketed sale process, which the company said attracted interest from a number of buyers for the Los Angeles studio lot. Its property sits on a 55 gross acre site in Studio City and consists of over 1 million square feet of space, including 22 stages, production office and support buildings, third-party tenant offices, a purpose-built broadcast center, and filmable backlot locations. The boom in streaming has created a global crunch of production space, and an array of real estate developers and financial firms have jumped in, with Hackman by far the biggest. The firm last week acquired Ward Park Film and Television Studios, one of the largest production facilities in Scotland. The week before, it announced a deal with the city of Toronto to develop a new complex called Basin Media Studios. It is a major player in New York City, acquiring Kaufman Astoria Studios in Queens, the 1920s site that was the original home of Paramount Pictures, earlier this fall, and Silver Cup Studios in Long Island City last year. The sale helps Viacom CBS raise needed cash to plow into content creation. The logic behind its unloading various assets, including CBS's historic Black Rock headquarters in New York City for $760 million in August. It agreed to sell publisher Simon & Schuster to Bertelsmann, owner of Penguin Random House, for $2.17 billion. It's kind of sad, but they're going to lease back the building. And so they'll still be making things there. CBS Studio Center is an iconic property that has been home to many of television's legendary programs over the years, said Square Mile Capital CEO Craig Solomon. With Viacom CBS maintaining an important presence at the property, we anticipate a smooth ownership transition and many more great years ahead. Well, at least it's still going to be moving strong, which is good. But still sad, end of an era and all of that. This next story, well, look who it is. We've got Hawkeye. Hawkeye news, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony D'Alessandro from Deadline reports that Hawkeye viewership is 40% behind Loki in its premiere. The first episode of Marvel's Hawkeye on Disney Plus drew 1.5 million U.S. households over the Wednesday-Sunday holiday stretch, while 1.3 million stuck around to watch the second episode. This is according to the latest streaming viewership stats from Samba TV, which measures 3 million U.S. households and what they watch on streaming over 5-minute increments. The first episode number for Hawkeye trails the 5-day U.S. household viewership figure for Disney Marvel's Loki, which was watched by 2.5 million homes over June 9-13. By 40%, Hawkeye's first episode premiere also ranks behind Loki's finale, which pulled in 1.9 million homes over 5 days. The number of Disney Plus subscribers stands at 118.1 million worldwide, with roughly more than a third of that coming from North America. Hawkeye, which critics have praised at 94% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, follows Kate Bishop. By the way, Kate Bishop introduced in the pages of Young Avengers. Do you think they're going to build to a Young Avengers team? Methinks they are. 94% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes follows Kate Bishop as she takes up the bow and arrow on the title of the Avenger Hawkeye as she encounters the original hero Clint Barton in New York City while he's on holiday with his family. Hawkeye is the fourth live-action MCU series on Disney+. The U.S. audience of Hawkeye's first episode skewed slightly female, 4% more female, on top of the on the top 25th largest markets for the show. Portland, Oregon over-indexed the most at 34%, followed by Seattle at 31%, and Philadelphia, 21% for episode 1. Over-indexed. You know why? I'm a P&W boy. That's Pacific Northwest. I'm from Seattle, and we love our science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and comic books. Always have. Always will. That was a bad True Romance impression of Val Kilmer. What can you do? It's early, and I need more coffee. So, there you go. This next story also about our boy Hawkeye. And we can talk about that too. Which, if I can get to it, maybe we will. Hawkeye, Venom, Let There Be Carnage are among the week's most pirated titles. That's right. This comes to us from Anthony D'Alessandro at Deadline. Disney and Marvel's Hawkeye was the most shared TV series title among pirate networks for the week of November 22nd to 28th, according to Musso, while Amazon Prime's The Wheel of Time ranked second. Such are the calamities for an entertainment industry obsessed with streaming. If there's a pristine copy of a movie or series available on the web, consider it feasibly available around the world for free. Imagine that. Studios are actually giving away their product, giving it away around the world, and they know they're doing it. The first episode of Hawkeye, according to Samba TV, was watched by 1.5 million U.S. smart households, repping a 40% decline to the 5-day viewership of Loki. As we just said. But Venom, Let There Be Carnage is topping the movie shared pirated title amongst movies worldwide. How is that? The movie, which opened on October 1st, respected a 45-day theatrical window and became available on PVOD and SVOD recently, which means clean copies are now available out there in the ether. The sequel has grossed close to $470 million worldwide. Sony is a big believer in the theatrical window and foregoing any type of hybrid strategy, which other studios continue to play with. Again, the longer the theatrical window, the longer the delay that a clean copy of the film is made available online. On this week's most pirated movie list, 4 titles had a streaming launch at some point in the last 5 months. Red Notice, Dune, Black Widow, and Finch, while the remaining 7 make the list on account of their availability on PVOD or SVOD. Gosh, I wonder if Tango Shalom is on that list of pirated films. I kind of think it would be kind of fun if it was. But you never want to hear about piracy. It's never really a good thing. But hey, you know what? If people want to watch the movies, they're going to watch the movies. There's nothing what can you do about it, you know? This next one. Oh, it's kind of sad for those fans of Pen 15. I mean, come on. Who doesn't say the real title of the show? It's Penis. We all know it. But Pen 15, some people love this show. I've watched it. I don't know if it's really for me, but I do admire it because there's a lot of funny stuff. Pen 15 coming to an end. It's ending. It's ending with season 2. Peter White writes about this in Deadline. Pen 15 is coming to an end. Let's just say Hulu's Penis. Hulu's Penis is coming to an end. The youth skewering comedy, also youth skewering, comedy drama will end with the second half of season 2, which will debut on the streamer on December 3rd. The news emerged in a long profile of creators, Maya Erskine and Anna Konkle, in The New Yorker. The pair said that they always envisioned the series as 3 seasons, but the pandemic, the show was forced to shut down production due to COVID-19, hastened the ending. The first 7 episodes of season 2 launched in September of 2020, with an animated special airing earlier this year. Penis is described as middle school as it actually happened. And that makes sense because, I was predominantly interested in my penis during middle school. The series from Awesomeness TV is co-written, created, and stars real-life longtime buds Erskine and Conkle. They play 13-year-old versions of themselves as middle school student outcasts at the turn of the 21st century. I relate to that. I feel like I'm playing a 13-year-old middle school version of myself on most days. I just didn't make a TV show about it. Of course, I could. It's not like I haven't done it before. Surrounded by actual 13-year-olds, the best day of their lives can turn into the worst with the stroke of a pen. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people like this show. I always hate it. There's something, it's interesting when you watch your favorite TV show and it goes away. It drops out of the pop culture consciousness like really quickly. And it's kind of disconcerting. There's all that work going and then bam. Then it just goes away. And it's kind of an odd thing, really. Now, I'm pretty stoked about this. One of my favorite TV shows, oh yeah, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I love this show. I mean, you got to love a show where Lenny Bruce is a supporting character. Come on. One of the great casts on television. I love this movie, or love this TV show. Can we talk about business? Rachel Brosnahan's Midge is looking to shake things up career-wise in the upcoming 4th season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Prime Video has released the first of 4 teaser trailers for the upcoming season, which premieres February 18th, 2022. The season will air over 4 weeks, shifting from a previous binge format with 2 episodes dropping every Friday. You can also see the Season 4 key art right here. In Season 3, Midge and Susie discovered that life on tour with Shy was glamorous but humbling, and they learned a lesson about show business they'll never forget. In Season 4, it's 1960, and change is in the air. Looking to hone her act, Midge finds a gig with total creative freedom, but her commitment to her craft and the places it takes her creates a rift between her and the family and friends around her. Go figure. It's the winner of 20 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series, 3 Golden Globes, including Best TV Series, Comedy, 6 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Comedy Series, 2 PGA Awards, a WGA Award, and a Peabody Award. I love this show. I'll flat out admit it. I do love this show. I think it is great. Netflix. Would you imagine that, or could you believe that Netflix is in the news? I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? It really is. Well, Netflix, they've ordered 5 new series, including an adaptation of David Nichols' One Day. Announced Wednesday by Annie Mensah, Netflix's vice president of UK series, the shows will all start shooting across Britain in 2022. The lineup includes a new adaptation of the best-selling novel One Day and 2 series by Sister, the fast-rising production powerhouse behind Chernobyl. And this is pretty cool. The 5 projects include, hence why I included it on this list, Supercell. This is pretty neat. Written by Rapman, a musician turned filmmaker behind Blue Story, the 6-part sci-fi series sees a group of ordinary people from South London unexpectedly develop superpowers with no clear connection between them other than they're all black. As they deal with the impact on their daily lives, one man has to bring them together to protect the one he loves, all the while avoiding powerful and nefarious agents that have noticed their special abilities. Rapman will also direct and executive produces alongside Mukhtar Mohammed, associate producer Henrietta Lee, and they're both of New Wave. One Day, based on David Nichols' best-selling novel, which was made into a film starring Anne Hathaway in 2011, this series follows Emma Morley and Dexter Mayhew catching up on the same day each year after they first meet at university in 1988 and watching how they grow and they change. And they move together and apart and experience joy and heartbreak. That could be pretty cool. Eric. Eric is a tense and surprising thriller created and written by Abby Morgan. When Edgar, a young boy, goes missing in 1980s Manhattan, his grief-stricken father, Vincent, a puppeteer on America's leading kids' TV show, finds solace through his friendship with Eric, the monster that lives under Edgar's bed. In his quest to find the truth to Edgar's disappearance, Vincent is forced into the dark shadows of a city rife with corruption to discover the real monsters live much closer to home. Set against the backdrop of the 1980s AIDS epidemic, Detective LeDroit, tasked to uncover internal corruption in the NYPD, finds himself drawn into the search for Edgar while privately coming to terms with secrets of his own. Here's another show called Chaos. Zeus has a wrinkle. He's worried it might mean the end of the world, and it might, because on Earth, 6 humans, unaware of their importance or their connection to each other, learn that they are component parts of an ancient prophecy. Will they discover the truth about the gods and what they're doing to humans? And if they do, will they be able to stop them? Billed as a darkly funny contemporary spin on Greek myths, Chaos is an 8-part series about love, power, and the underworld, written by Charlie Koval, The End of the Fucking World, and produced by Sister for Netflix. And the final episode is, or the final show, this is a real title, The Fuck It Bucket. When Mia Polanco, a 17-year-old London girl with more wits than is good for her, is released from hospital after a lengthy battle with anorexia, she is thrust back into the fizzingly chaotic world of sixth form, only to find that her friends have been spending her recovery time acquiring knowledge and experiences she herself has never known. Suddenly confronted with the realization that her childhood is racing by without her, Mia decides the only way to catch up is to make a bucket list. The 8-part series is a Left Bank Pictures production written by Ripley Parker. And that, my friends, is your entertainment news for today. Tom Jr. Jackson has sent in a super chat, and Tom says, Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. Somehow, somewhere. Classic songs and Rita Moreno. I can't go wrong there. You know, to be honest, when my young self saw West Side Story for the very first time, Rita Moreno might have been, her Anita might have been the sexiest portrayal of a female I had ever seen up to that point. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. I want to live in Maria's America. Always wanted to. Never met a Maria, but hey, I'm sure they're out there. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the half shell, if you're on the half pipe, if you are still half in the bag, this is your blast of 30 minutes of entertainment news coming to you each and every weekday. Now that I can calm down, it's time to enjoy my day-old coffee, which of course has half and half in it. And also it's good for keto, so it's good half and half, and it's organic. So I know people are like, Rob, half and half isn't good for you. What is? I live in Los Angeles. The air I breathe isn't good for me. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kind souls, gentle beings across the 28 known galaxies, I am Robert Meyer Burnett, and this is the Hollywood Half and Half. And I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank my moderators. Brian Hepburn is here. Dean Mikitich. Greg Smith. I've got the best blue wrenches in the business. Thank you, boys. Thank you, Louise X. Sparrow, if you're here too. Very much appreciated.